Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün University of Plymouth ile İngiltere'de lisans ve yüksek lisans eğitimini anadan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Anna, stage is yours now.
Thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here today. My name is Anna Wuttke, and I work for the University of Plymouth. And I might have met some of you in one of those talks before, or you might have met one of my colleagues who was at the IFT fair only a few weeks back. And if so, you might have some questions for me today. So please feel free to ask those questions in the end. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have about the university, the courses that we offer, how to apply, and all of that. So please, as I said in the chat box, if you have any questions coming from what I'm talking about today, then please do put those questions to me as I'm speaking. Right, as I said, I work in the University of Plymouth, at the University of Plymouth, in the international office. And hopefully very soon I'll be out in Turkey again and we'll be able to meet with you in person. So hopefully that is something we will be able to do soon. Until then, we will have to make do with online sessions. This is not the first of these, as I said before, and might not be the last, but as I said, hopefully at some stage we'll be able to be in person in Turkey again. So what I'm going to be doing today, it's talk for about 20-25 minutes. I promise it won't be the entire hour, because I do want to give you the chance to ask any questions that you have. So I'll talk a little bit about the University of Plymouth, the courses that we offer, the attraction, or what I believe and our students believe makes it quite an attractive place to study. We will be talking about financial questions, so we will talk about fees, living expenses, but also talk about scholarships that we offer. And last but not least, as I said, we will have the chance to answer any questions that you may have. So just a very brief overview of the university. I'm going to kickstart with a few rankings, because as we all know, ranking is very, very important these days. You want to make sure that you invest your money wisely. Overall speaking, the university is traditionally quite a solid mid-ranking university. There are some subjects, as you can see here on that screen, that we are really, really good at. And one thing that we are very, very proud of is that in the 2021 Times Higher Impact ranking, we actually became number 23 overall in the world. And that's out of thousands and thousands of universities. And when it comes to life below water, so the marine world, we actually were voted number 1 in the world for life below water in the impact ranking for 2021. Now, impact ranking is slightly different from the other rankings that you might have heard about, in that what they're actually doing is they're checking, or they're looking at not only how things are being taught and what is being taught, but and researched as well and published, but does it actually have an impact in the real world? Sort of, does the research that we're doing in marine pollution actually inform policy making in the UK, that we can reduce the waste that we find sort of in our oceans? That would just be one example where you can look at, where people would have looked at the impact that universities have. And I do believe one of the reasons why we've done so really well in the impact rankings is because a lot of our courses really are based on real life scenarios. They have been developed with the industry, with the policymakers, so that the graduates that come out of our degrees actually really can go into professions and make a difference in the professions that of their choice. And we're doing this also by preparing our students in the form of placements, work-based learning, and everything is basically, as I said, related to the real world. We have about 3,000 international students out of 21,000 students on campus, and we normally have about, I'd say, between 10 and 20 Turkish students on campus. We've been welcoming Turkish students for a long time. They are really nice addition to our international students body, and they tend to be quite happy students once they're on campus. Now, Plymouth, the University of Plymouth, is located in Plymouth itself. We are a city centre university, and I'll talk about that in a very brief moment. Plymouth is about 3 hours away from London. So most of our students would arrive in London Heathrow because it's just easy because there's so many connections. Turkish Airlines going there, British Airways flying to Turkey as well twice a day. So most of our students from Turkey would probably arrive into London Heathrow and then take the train or the bus and come down to Plymouth. And it's about 3.5 hours away if the trains are on time, which isn't always the case. Because we are in the southwest, we have a relatively mild climate, which is good news for those who don't really like the cold amongst you. As I mentioned, we are right by the sea. We are Britain's ocean city. To give you a flavor of what our landscape is looking like that surrounds us, this actually here is one of my favorite beaches. Let's have a look, that one there, Switsun Bay. It's beautiful, beautiful white beach to walk along at low tide. If it is high tide, there is not much beach left. That's the Dartmoor National Park that we have 10-15 minutes north of the city. Again, quite an attraction, not only for locals, but also for people to come from all over the country. Because we are by the seaside, it's not a surprise that our students would normally get involved in all kinds of water sports. Those students here actually are some of our international students, and they are standing on top of Smeaton's Tower. So this is the view that you get from there. There we go. And this is the old harbour. All of this here, you can't see this probably, but these are all bars, cafes, restaurants. It's a very lively place for students to go out, for locals as well, to sit, have a coffee, have a beer, and just enjoy the scenery, which is quite outstanding. The campus, as I said, is right in the city centre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto our virtual campus tour, which you can visit yourself once we are, once you want to, once we finish with the session, if you want to find out a little bit more about this city and the university. So to give you an idea, we've got the train station over there. And then over here, and that's about 5 minutes walk, you've got the university campus. And that's the train station where the trains from London arrive. And they go every hour, they go to London. So all the pink dots around here are university buildings. So as you can see, it's quite a compact, quite a modern campus. We try to make it a little bit green as well. So as you can see there, there's a little bit of green left as well. So we're incorporating old parts into a relatively modern and purpose-built campus. When I say modern purpose-built campus, I guess that this is probably one of the iconic buildings that we have. That's our Rowan Lewinsky building. That's where the Faculty of Arts is at home. Again, Faculty of Arts over there. This is our psychology building here, the Link building. And then we have the Students' Union over there, where basically a lot of the social events, but also counselling of students and things like this are happening. So that's the Students' Union down here. So as I said, if you want, hang on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into the chat. So if any of you feel a little bit bored and want to find out a little bit more about what the university looks like, please do go online and check this out for yourself. And last but not least, just to make you a little bit envious, I'm going to show you where I was for lunch today, because that's only, it's less than 15 minutes walk from my office. this is where I was for lunch today. And actually the weather looked very much like this. It was nice and warm. It didn't rain. And I was actually sitting on one of the benches over there. So yes, we look back and that's the university. So yeah, so that was just to give you a little bit of a flavor of, as I said, what the university is looking like and what the city is looking like. Please feel free to go onto the link that I just put into the chat box. Right, now let's see that I can get back onto track, get my presentation. There we go. So it's now November. Our students came back to us in September, at the end of September. And basically it is more or less business like usual. So we have started face-to-face. We have enabled our students who weren't able to come in September because of COVID restrictions to enroll online. But we do expect our students really to be with us on campus if they can, by all means, travel to us. Of course, we have to look at the safety of our staff and the safety of our students. And so we will always follow the guidelines that the university, that the government is giving us. So there's only a few countries where students or new arrivals have to self-isolate, but as you probably know yourself, especially if you're coming as fully vaccinated people, you don't have to self-isolate. All you need to do these days is a day 2 test. I did mine yesterday because I came back from Germany from a business trip. So what we're encouraging our students and our staff to do is get vaccinated and also do a test at least twice a week at home. Those tests one can pick up for free at the moment. And really it's just to make sure that if you are mixing with other people, that you don't pass anything on that you shouldn't be passing on. So yeah, but as I said, we are more or less back to normality on campus, and we do hope that that's going to stay like this for a while. Now in September, we also saw then our students, as I said, arriving. This is our international students welcome team. I mentioned that we normally go to Heathrow, that most of our students fly into Heathrow, and these are our student ambassadors who organized the pickup of our international students from Heathrow. So there's buses that students can book on, and then we'll take them to Plymouth. So that's our little welcome team there. And then we had a whole welcome week, which was beautiful that we were able to do this again. So these are just some of our new students enjoying a boat ride. We also thankfully saw our students graduating and having physical graduation ceremonies. That is something that wasn't possible last year, but at least this year in 2021, it was possible for students to graduate. So there we go. This is actually the Faculty of Science and Engineering graduates there. So as you can see, it's more or less back to normality. Now, what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to talk a little bit about the programs that we offer. I'm not going to tell you all about all of our programs because that will take hours, because we are a very comprehensive university. So what you will see on this slide and on the next slide are basically just subject areas. And beyond those subject areas stand programs on undergraduate level, postgraduate level, but also on foundation level. So when you're looking at the architecture and environment, for instance, as a subject area, you will find something like 10 different degrees that deal with architecture, with surveying, with architectural technology on both undergraduate and postgraduate level. Our BA architecture, as you probably know yourself, architecture is quite a popular program in Turkey. So we do normally have, 1 or 2 students on one of our architecture programs as well. So we've got the architecture, we've got arts, general arts, it's performing arts we've got in there. We've got biological sciences, business and management is a big subject area. That's not a surprise. And that attracts a lot of international students, and also quite a few of our Turkish students would be enrolled in one of our business and management programs. Chemistry, computing, design, product design is probably the out of the design programs, the one that is most popular for our Turkish students. And then earth geography, environments, quite, of course, these days, very important subject areas. And we have several courses in environmental sciences, both on undergraduate and postgraduate level. Education and teacher training. Our MA Education has always seen, again, 1 or 2 Turkish students enrolling on that program. And then we have the vast area of engineering. We're doing civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering in there, but also we're doing robotics, which again is quite popular with our Turkish students. And then the whole area of hospitality, tourism, and humanities. So, and this is not all, because I said we are very comprehensive. And so there's even a few more subject areas that I just want to highlight. Marine is something I'm going to talk about in a minute, because that is one of our big sort of, as I said earlier, we are #1 in the world in the impact ranking for marine. So I will talk a little bit about that. Criminology, law, this is international relations, is probably the area which is most attractive to our Turkish students here. Then we do offer medicine and dentistry and biomedical sciences, nursing, and psychology as well. And I'm going to talk about the psychology a little bit in a minute as well. So as you can see, and as I mentioned, there is a lot of programs to choose from. And those, as I mentioned here, are only the subject areas. And so if you put any of those subject areas in our search on our website, it will come up with a lot of different degree programs. Now, as I said, or as you have seen, there is a lot of different subject areas that we are offering programs in. But basically there are 3 areas or 3 interdisciplinary institutes where the university really sees itself focusing on. The one is the Marine Institute. This brings together thousands, something like 3,000 teachers, students, researchers, technicians, dealing with anything that has to do with the marine world. And so those people would be coming from areas like marine biology, but also from areas like education, like policy, politics, and also from business. So what is basically like an umbrella. You have to imagine the those institutes are like umbrellas, and they bring together people from all different areas of the university. The second institute that we have is the Institute of Health and Care Research. Again, it's an interdisciplinary institute that brings together health professionals, but also people who are doing things like social care, social studies, and studies in well-being in general. And last but not least, we've got the Sustainable Earth Institute, which again, under the umbrella of the Earth Sustainability and under the Sustainable Earth Institute, brings together academics, students, technicians, researchers from all different areas like the engineering, the arts, the business, and they all basically work under that umbrella. So these are the 3 passions of the universities, as we like to call them. Now, what of our programs are the ones that are sort of popular with our Turkish students? I already pointed out a few when I talked about the subject areas, but now just highlighting a few of the ones that I do believe are either already quite popular in Turkey, or they have a very good chance of becoming popular. So one of our best sellers ever is the MSc International Shipping. All you need to do if you are in Istanbul, you need to go and look out at the Bosphorus, and then that little thing where it goes over to the Marmara Sea, where you see all those tanks lined up trying to get through there. And you know yourself that shipping and logistics and transportation by sea is definitely a very big business in Turkey. So therefore we have had and always some students doing the international shipping or the procurement and supply chain management from Turkey here in Plymouth. Another program which is incredibly popular with our Turkish students is our MSc in Clinical Psychology. It is a 1-year program that focuses on clinical psychology. By the way, and I'm going to talk about scholarships later, but All of our psychology degrees, both on undergraduate and postgraduate level, offer a £4,000 scholarship for anyone who meets the entry requirements. So if you are playing with the idea of doing either a bachelor's or a master's degree in psychology, and given the current situation of the Turkish lira and the fear that comes with a daily devaluation, the fact that we are offering £4,000 scholarship might make our programs a little bit attractive or more attractive to you. We've got the MSA Sustainable Aquaculture program. We tend to see quite a few of our Turkish students who are sponsored through the ministry to come and join on that program. There seems to be that the ministry must have said that this is one of their that's one of the focuses or one of the areas that they want to focus on. And yes, we do have students both from who finance themselves, but also students who come as sponsored students from us to us. So the MSc Robotics, but also the BEng that we're doing in robotics tends to be quite popular in Turkey. MSc Nutrition always sees a little bit of attention from Turkey. This is more of a conversion program, though, because what you probably find often is that students are doing dietetics and nutrition together, and this is one program that focuses on pure nutrition, on human nutrition. And those two here I put on because in the Faculty of Science and Engineering, they really are top sellers in other countries. So we have the MSc Cybersecurity for those students with a computing background who want to focus on cybersecurity. And then, of course, we've got the MSc Data Science and Business Analytics, which has seen a tremendous increase in application numbers. And I do feel that those two programs really should also be quite popular in Turkey. Our programs normally start in September. However, the business school's been quite innovative has been quite innovative in saying, okay, we're now doing most of our programs also as a January start. So there might be some of you who graduated last September and wanted to take a little bit of time out in order to find your feet, in order to decide what you want to do. You didn't want to start your master's straight away because of all the uncertainties that we've seen as well because of Corona. So if you are already graduated and you are interested in doing a master degree in business, and most of our business courses are conversion degrees on master level, then please take a look at what we are offering in January. Because as I said, it is it might be a very good option for you if you have already graduated from your first degree. If you've got something like an associate degree or a 2-year background sort of in studies in business, then you could also, if you wanted to, apply for one of our top-up programs, which have a January start as well. So there we go. We've got those here as the top-up programs, the bachelor's and the master's here. Now, one of the reasons why you, if you are already graduated, should consider starting in January is because the tuition fees are the same as they were for 2021 entry. Our tuition fees, I'll talk about the finance a little bit, have increased by £500 for September 2022. But what we have done for January 2021, we have kept the tuition fees at the previous level. So at 14,200 for the undergraduate and 15,200 for the postgraduate one. There are scholarships available for those as well, and I'll talk about scholarships in a minute. And as I said, sort of, if you have graduated already, you might want to consider starting in September. There is no real deadline for application, but I would definitely strongly recommend trying to do it before Christmas if you do want to apply. Our general entry requirements from Turkey for undergraduate studies, for most subjects, we would normally accept a LISE. as long as you have a certain percentage achieved overall and also a percentage in specific subjects. I can, I can always give you more details if you are interested in a specific undergraduate program. And the reason why you see me smile is because I'm working from home, and I've got a very naughty cat who is jumping at the door because I locked him out. So if you have some strange background noises, don't be disturbed. It is my cat trying to get into this room here. Right. Postgraduate level, we would ask you to have an undergraduate degree. And unless it is a conversion program, like our master programs are, they would normally ask for a degree in a relevant subject. So if you want to do biomedical sciences, you of course have to have an undergraduate degree in biomedical sciences or related science at least. And depending on the course that you have studied at university, but also the kind of university that you have attended, we're normally looking at around 2.4, between 2.4 and 3 from your bachelor's degree. If you don't meet our entry requirements or you haven't got the right subjects, then we have a foundation that we offer at our international college, which is associated to the university. So those are all the subject areas where we are offering undergraduate foundations, and those that I have highlighted in red, we are also offering pre-master courses. So if you haven't got the right grade in your master's, so let's say you've got a 2.1, but we are asking for a 2.5, then you could do a 3 months pre-master's program and come onto our onto our master programs in those subject areas where we have the pre-masters in our foundation college. In addition to your academic qualifications, you of course have to have some English language background as well. We do accept the IELTS, and therefore undergraduates it's a 6.0 and a 6.5. There might be, if you want to do a health or medical related degree, there will be higher entry requirements, but that will be on their website of the respective program. We of course also accept the Pearsons, the IB if you're an undergraduate student, or if you have done the IGCE, we're accepting that as well. All that information is on our website. If you go to international students information, and then you'll find the reference to the English language requirements as well. And again, if you don't meet our English language requirements, you have the option to do a pre-sessional English. It's like, like a bridging between your current English language level and the one that we are asking for. And so depending on the level of English that you're coming in, it's either 2, 8, or 8 weeks or 12 weeks, sort of, in our English language center. We also, for those students, once you have enrolled with us, and you feel that you want to improve your English language writing or your presentation skills, your speaking skills, a specific aspect of your English language, then we have our what we call in-sessional English language support, which is of course free of charge. And that's where our special, our professionals, English language teachers basically help you to develop your English language skills whilst you're a student with us. So as I mentioned before, we have increased our tuition fees a little bit in comparison to 2021. This is actually wrong here. It should say 2022. So those tuition fees for undergraduate programs are 14,600 across the board. So we do not differentiate between a classroom or laboratory-based program. But on postgraduate level, we do make this difference. So if you're doing a business degree or international relations, you would be in what we call a band A. So that's £15,700 because it's a classroom-based program. If you're in a computer, robotics, marine science program, on postgraduate level, it's slightly more expensive, so it's £16,700 there. There are scholarships available, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute. So you will, for visa purposes, you need to show that you have a certain amount of money available for your, for your living expenses. This is something like over £1,000 per month. Be rest assured that if you had £1,000 a month in Plymouth, you would be very, very well off, because our accommodation, our living expenses are much lower than the average in the country. So in reality, our students would spend between £700 and £800 a month, including all living expenses. Of course, you can have a penthouse suite and you spend much more, but if you are on a budget, there's also the possibility to spend less than that. We are, as I said, an area with some of the lowest living costs in the country. Now, as I mentioned, we have undergraduate and postgraduate scholarships available. Both of them are either a £2,000 automatic scholarship or an excellence scholarship, which you have to apply for. One thing I want to say straight away is that they are not available for all subject areas. They are available for business, engineering, computing, science, but also for health, but not medicine. The £2,000 scholarship and the excellence scholarship is only for those subject areas that we've got down there. But when you look back at what I said earlier, what kind of subjects are popular with our Turkish students, you will find that most likely the program that you want to apply for or that you are interested in actually will have a scholarship available for you. So if you, as I said, if you exceed our entry requirements, you automatically get £2,000 off. So if we say you must have a LISA of 75 and you have one of 80, you would get an automatic £2,000 scholarship. And for academic excellence, if you are doing an IB program and you have 35 or 36, then we definitely would tell you or ask you to apply for the scholarship, or you got 98 from your LISA. But all the information about that and the deadlines are online, and the application process is online as well for the scholarship. We also have the postgraduate scholarships, and as I said, they are very much like the undergraduate ones. So that we've got some which are automatic and others where you have to apply for. So if you've got the GPA, if we're asking you to get a GPA from your undergraduate degree of 2.7 and you have a GPA of 2.8 or 2.9, you would get an automatic scholarship that will be taken off your your tuition fees that you have to pay. And if you got a GPA of 3.4 from Istanbul Technical University, you definitely should apply for the excellence scholarship, which is 50% off your tuition fees. And as I said, these scholarships, the postgraduate scholarships, are also available for our January start. So if you are considering to do a business degree in January, one of them on master level, those scholarships are still available. And the last thing I heard was that the business school still wants to give away 7 scholarships for the 50%. So there you go. That's definitely good news. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail about accommodation, but the reason why I brought it up is because it is probably the area where you spend most of your money. So if you are on the budget, then it really is about making very wise accommodation choices. We normally say students can choose to live either on campus or off campus. All the accommodation tends to be single room accommodation. But please keep in mind that on-campus accommodation tends to be slightly more expensive than off-campus accommodation. So when you look at this, this is the city centre campus. This here is our halls of residence. But then most of our students live within 10 minutes walk, even if they are in off-campus accommodation. So they live within 5 to 10 minutes walk from the campus. And that, again, because you don't need to take public transport, brings the living costs down. This is just what our standard rooms look like. So it's not a palace that you will get. You'll get a clean room with a bed, a desk, you know, and most of the time you also have your own bathroom. I mentioned earlier when I talked about the English language requirements that we have our English language center. But in addition to that, we do invest very, very heavily in our student support. So this is where some of your tuition fee goes, and make sure that our students, all of our students, get the support that they need. So we have one team that it's dedicated to the international students' needs. So I mentioned earlier again, there were airport pickups, there's an orientation program, a welcome program, but they also give visa advice for students who are already here and need to extend their visa. And they're giving budgeting and finance advice. And they are normally sort of the first point of contact for international students should they need any kind of help or advice. Then we have another area which sort of centers around careers and employability. So if you want to have a part-time job and you are allowed to work part-time up to 20 hours a week whilst you're studying, they will be able to help you with finding a part-time job. But my colleagues in careers also do careers events, careers advice. So career fairs happen on campus where employers are coming onto campus for students to connect and to network with them. So those colleagues of mine are really trying their best to make our graduates as employable as possible. And then we also have the Learning Gateway, and this is basically for any other additional needs that any students might have. So we're looking at things like faith and spiritual support. We're looking at learning support if you have problems with maths and you need some support in maths. So that's what you can do. You know, there's counseling available. So basically we're trying to take care of all the possible needs that our students might have. And that basically brings me to the end of my talk. There's my email address again, and I did, as I said, put it into the chat as well. And so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to go and look what questions you have had. So let's do that. Let's go into the questions. Right, remind me again, I start at the bottom, don't I? Yes. Architecture and design, do you offer scholarships for undergraduate students? So the first question that we have is from someone who wants their daughter to study architecture and design. At the moment, we do not have scholarships available for those programs because it's basically up to each school to decide what kind of scholarships they are offering. But I do know that they are looking into revising that. So they are currently talking about other scholarships available for those subject areas. So hopefully sort of towards the middle of next year, there will be better news for the scholarship in art and design. Next question is from Zema. Can I work while I study? Yes, you can work in term time. You can work up to 20 hours a week. So that means whilst you're having classes, you can work up to 20 hours a week. If you decide to stay here for the summer and you don't have any classes, then you can also work more than 20 hours a week. I think you can go up to full time. And that's quite what some of our students are doing. Instead of going home, they're actually staying on campus or they're staying at the university during the summer and then, you know, work full time. So yes, your visa allows you to work. How much does it cost to live in Plymouth? I think I answered that question already. Sort of I would say the absolute minimum that you have to think about, and that includes your accommodation, your teaching materials, or your study materials, your food. You probably are looking at around £750 a month, and that is for the UK. It actually is quite cheap. It's quite reasonable. I'm a European citizen. Will I pay tuition fees? Yes, even before Brexit, unfortunately, you would have had to have paid tuition fees. It's just that it has changed, sort of the kind of tuition fees that you're paying has changed. So unfortunately, yes, you know, as a European, you will have to pay tuition fees. How are career opportunities for international students in the city? It's a good question. It very much depends on what you have studied, Faiza. If you have studied hospitality tourism, then your career opportunities are fantastic because the city actually has a very strong tourism and hospitality industry. If you have studied banking and finance and you want to work sort of, you know, in the heart of the financial world, then you probably would be better off leaving Plymouth and go to London, which, as we know, is the financial city or the financial capital of the UK. So it really very, very much depends on what you have studied. Generally speaking, most of our students, and that is international and UK students, over 85% of our students are either in employment or in further education after they graduate, and that's within 6 months. So we do have a very good employment rate for our students. So I hope I've answered that question. And as I said, sort of we have career fairs on campus where businesses, not only local businesses, but also big companies like KPMG and like other sort of multinational employers come on campus and are there to recruit our graduates. How's the GPA for masters? My GPA is lower than 2.5. Can I have a chance to get an acceptance with the GMAT score? Edda, it depends on what you want to study. And also what you have done since you have graduated, and also which university you have graduated from. So generally speaking, every single application will always be looked at on a case-by-case basis. So if you have graduated with a 2.5 from a relevant degree from a good university, then you probably won't even have to do a GMAT. If you are a borderline case and our admissions tutors aren't quite sure whether you have the right grade, they will ask you to do an interview with them where you can, you know, talk with them about your professional background, your studies background, and for them to get a better idea how suited you are for the program. So it always very much depends on not only where you have studied and what you have studied, but also what you have done since you have studied. Sometimes we even accept master students on some of our programs that haven't done an undergraduate degree, but have 10, 15 years work experience in a specific subject. So our Masters in Human Resource Management. If you have worked in human resource management, in person development for many years, then you might be able to get onto the master program without having studied a bachelor program. So the entry requirements are always quite fluid, and we do take the whole picture into consideration. Same as asking about the entry requirements for mechanical engineering. If it is an undergraduate degree that you're looking to do, we would normally, if it's the LISA, we would be looking at around 75 as a minimum, but you must have taken maths route and ideally also one other science from your LISA. If it is the IB program that you're doing, you should have for mechanical engineering maths on a higher level, and we would be looking at an overall of around 28. So I'm not quite sure. If you're doing the American system, we're looking at APs or SATs in maths and the science. So I hope this has covered all different possibilities. And if it is a master's that you're looking to do, then you must have an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering. Merve is asking, how does the orientation process go? Do you assist students with their needs for the first few months? Yes, we do. And I think I hopefully have sort of, when I talked about my colleagues in the international students advice, they are not just there for the first few months. They are there for the entire duration of your studies. So what we tend to do is for those students who start with us, we do a pre-departure webinar. So we're giving you basically last minute tips and hints on, how to prepare for your travels, what to do, what's the latest update on Corona and entry requirements and all of this. And then, so this is what we do digitally, giving those kind of seminars, webinars, a little bit like this. And then we have, as I said, for September start, we have a big welcome week where we pick students up, we have orientation, we help them to settle down. They help, if they have to isolate, they would have had help with isolation, self-isolation as well. For the January starts, we will have a smaller orientation week, but my colleagues are planning to do something similar as well. And as I said, they are there for the entire duration of your studies as your first point of contact, should you have any questions or any problems that need to be addressed. Füson is asking, if a student finish IB program with a high-level degree in high school in Turkey, do you give scholarship? If yes, how much? And Füson, very much, again, sort of depends on what you want to study. If it is a subject, a degree in the subject areas that I mentioned that have scholarships at the moment, and that is business, sciences, engineering, computing, some of the social sciences as well, and some of the humanities. So if it isn't one of those, then we do have our scholarships either for the £2,000, the automatic one, or the 50% if it is a really high grade from your IB, and that's something that you would have to apply for. And all of our undergraduate scholarships, by the way, they are not just for the first year. If our students come to us with a 50% scholarship and they then are doing well in the first year, they will be able to have they're doing very well in the first year, which means they have to have a 70% overall. They can then continue receiving that scholarship in the second year. And again, if the second year is 70% overall, they will be able to receive their scholarship in the final year as well. Because that scholarship really is meant to appreciate really academic excellence and academic excellent performance. Then we have a question of how long valid for your academic excellence scholarship for business students, year 1 or 3 years. I think, Udush, I've just answered that question, and hopefully it was the right answer that I've given you. It is for 3 years, but you have to keep being a good student, and a good student means that you're sort of over 70%. If you're over 60, but you haven't achieved 70%, then you would get the £2,000 scholarship in year 2 and year 3. Someone said, Basa's asking about special scholarships for psychology. Can you give more detail? Yes. At the moment, all of our psychology degrees, that's the BSc psychology, the neuroscience, undergraduate as well. So all the undergraduate, but also all the postgraduate taught master programs. So the MSc Advanced Psychology, the MSc Human Neuroscience, the MSc Clinical Psychology, all of those have £4,000 scholarships. And they would be just for achieving the respective entry requirements. And again, they would be automatic, so you wouldn't need to do anything. It will be taken off your tuition fees. For the undergraduate scholarships in psychology, £4,000 would be in the first year. And then depending on your performance in the first year and second year, you can either get 10 or 20% off. The thing with scholarships is it's not only that every university is different, but each school can basically set their own requirements and their own scholarship schemes. So it is always worth checking out whether a specific school or a specific subject area is offering scholarships. As I said, psychology at Plymouth at the moment is one of those subject areas. Right. Do we have any other questions? I'm just checking if there are any in the... Nope, there's no questions in the chat box. What I will do for you is I'll quickly send you the link to our international scholarships as well, so that you've got that. In the chat box. Just give me 1 second, and in the meanwhile, you can think about whether you have any other questions. There you go. International scholarships. There we go. So just copy this. Go here. And I'm going to put it in the chat box. So there we go. This is the link for the scholarships for international students, in case you want to look it up. Right. There don't seem to be any more questions. If that is the case, I think I even managed to be faster than I promised originally. We've had 50 minutes together. As I mentioned before, if you do have any questions, send me an email. Feel free to, contact me directly, contact one of our agents that we're working with. You'll find that information on our website. And again, I'm going to send you the link for your country-specific website. So you find Turkey. So there we go. So we have, if you go onto our website, we have a dedicated page just for Turkish students. So if you want to, there we go, find out for information specifically for students from Turkey, it's on our website there. So thank you all very much for your attention, for sticking with me for the past nearly hour, and my cat, which has now given up. And I hopefully see one of you sometime in Turkey or here in Plymouth, if you do decide to apply and to come to Plymouth. So yes, please stay in touch, send me an email, and I wish you all the best. I wish you health, and and say that you all stay safe. And I say thank you very much again for the IFT team who have put all of this together. You are fabulous, guys. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation, Anna. And you covered all of the questions. Thank you for your answers too. It was another fantastic and informative webinar for the attendees. And also I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. University of Plymouth ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Ana'nın paylaşmış olduğu linkleri inceleyebilirsiniz. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Yarınki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Anna. It was a pleasure to have you in IFT Talks.
Okay, thank you very much. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.